Hey everyone, Cardano is showing signs of life. So we're going to look into a possible reason why this is happening. First off, my name is Sean, and welcome to Invest with Fire, where I talk about investing in cryptocurrencies. If this video is helpful, consider like and subscribing. It really helps out the small channel, and it helps me from not working. So follow me on Twitter at Invest with Fire for more up-to-date information. So we're going to talk about Project Catalyst Fund 7, Sunday Swap, and then we're going to dive into the charts. So here's a cover of this Fund 7 launch guide, and I'm pulling screenshots from this guide, in which I'll put a link to that in the description down below. So what is this Project Catalyst? This is the beginning of bringing on-chain governance to Cardano. It's a series of experiments which leverage the collective intelligence of the Catalyst community to determine the future direction and development of the Cardano ecosystem. Through a series of innovative funds, the community sources brilliant ideas, decides via vote, and the treasury finances the best ideas for building a global blockchain. So what's interesting about this Project Catalyst is that it's building from a bottom up, right, versus a top down. And that's what I like about this, is that the community is really coming up with some projects. They vote on it and they decide to put their money into it and they build it together, versus projects coming from the top, right? And then that person at the top doesn't necessarily know or understand what everyone in the community needs. This is what's interesting about this Project Catalyst. So here are a couple other screenshots from this guide. And so, for example, why do it this way? Why build from the from the bottom up, right? First off is that you have distributed R&D, so that you can build things better, faster, and cheaper than a top-down organization, where you actually give power to the community. Next is the centralized team building. So great innovation comes from great teams. So that means that all these little teams can innovate quicker and faster together. And also group refinement and execution. So according to this launch guide, they see a significant improvement in the quality of proposals after the community gets buy-in, right? I mean, that makes a lot of sense. If the community agrees on something and buys in, that means they become really motivated, versus something coming from the top and the top person is telling everyone, hey, this is the way we need to go, and the people might actually not believe in it. So these different kinds of structures definitely have their pros and cons, and this is the way that Cardano is going to do this. And this is why this is really interesting, and this is why I see that this is going to be a huge motivator for the community to start developing all these applications and all these things for the Cardano network, and will help push up the price. So how does this all work? So the community is going to come up with different ideas, and then they're going to vote on this. And then the treasury basically finance the best idea for building whatever project the community wants to do. And there's going to be a series of funding rounds which operate every 12 weeks. And this is going to be important, right? Because we have to understand, now we have these projects coming up every 12 weeks, and they're going to act like catalysts for the price of Cardano. And we already talked about each funding round proceeds through a cycle of 3 phases. So this is what I was talking about: innovation, governance, and execution. So innovation is where the community comes up with ideas. Governance is where the community votes on it. And execution, that's where the treasury starts funding it and the community starts building this and working on it. So here is a screenshot of some of the projects that the community has come up with. Like, for example, like boosting Cardano's DeFi, community events such as increasing participation among the community in the next 6 months, and lobbying for favorable legislation. And so what they want to lobby for is defending themselves from attacks from different governments and compromising legislation and unfair tax policies. So this is pretty cool, right? The community gets to come up with these different ideas, and they all vote on it and decide to work on this. And this will be very interesting to see because you can see the differences between a top-down versus bottom-up approach. And these approaches are important. For example, if you look at like the music player, Apple had their way in which they had a closed system in which they decided and they pretty much figured out and told the customers, hey, this is the way a music player is going to be, versus the other music players. They were open to everything, right? They listened to the customers and said, oh, you want that? We'll include that. Oh, you want that too? We'll include that in the music player. And then pretty soon these music players became like wonky. They included too many features. It was too messy. And it was all over the place. Versus Apple, they basically curated and decided on what's important to the customer and built the iPod. And history shows that the iPod succeeded because Apple understood the customer and understood simple is better. So we'll definitely see how this approach works out. It should be interesting to see. So this next slide, here are some key dates. And this is also important because these are going to be catalysts for the price of Cardano and new money coming into the ecosystem. And that leads me to SundaeSwap, which is a decentralized exchange for Cardano. And SundaeSwap is a native scalable decentralized exchange, an automated liquidity provision protocol. And decentralized exchanges or DEXs are very important to L1 cryptocurrencies because this is how money comes into the L1. So SundaeSwap is very important. And what SundaeSwap is going to do is they're going to have this thing called a testnet. And what this testnet is that it identifies any bugs in this DEX. And this is also going to be a soft launch and a training for stake pool operators. And what that really means is that, hey, it kind of just lets people kind of try out the whole decentralized exchange. It lets these stake pool operators like figure out if there's going to be any problems or issues or bottlenecks. And it helps everyone identify any unexpected inefficiencies too. Just kind of beware of any like FUD or like bad news stories you hear about SundaeSwap or something going wrong because this is going to be expected. They want you to identify bugs. So just because a news story comes out saying, hey, SundaeSwap, did bad, there was a bug discovered and the DEX, didn't work. Well, this is to be expected. And this is the whole purpose of testing the network before it goes mainstream to everyone. So just be aware of that. And also, I found this on SundaeSwap's Medium. They talk about how everyone in the community can get involved. But I can kind of see maybe a possible airdrop, right? I mean, you can never count that out. So that's why I encourage you, if you can go try out SundaeSwap, do so because you might get some airdrop tokens airdrop to you. And these tokens could be worth a lot. So for example, they talk about how, once the testnet goes live, use the faucet to grab and a set of play tokens. So play around with those tokens because these tokens might be worth a lot of money. So here's a price chart of Cardano, and Cardano's trading at $1.68. And you can see here, Cardano has been taking a beating, and there's no buts about that. Cardano chooses to move slow, and that's because they want to build things right. So, and this has only been about, let's see, if we take from here to here, it's been about 84 days, so about 3 months now. And in the grand scheme of things, when you're investing in something, that's not a long time at all. If we take a look from this period to this period, that's about 70 days, right? So, and then back here, I mean, Cardano, if we just kind of look at this, right? I mean, it was flat for a while, right? A long time when we were kind of in our crypto winter. You can see over here, this is about 560 days, So 84 days is nothing in the grand scheme of things. And also, Cardano back here announced to everyone that they have a smart contracts capability, but the backend wasn't complete. So they kind of just waved the flag and said like, hey, we're ready, but we're not really ready. So this is why we see this decline in Cardano's price. But once the whole Plus backend gets implemented and all these different projects get built on top of Cardano, that's when I expect for it to break out. So you can see my red lines right here. I have this line from November 1st to February 28th. This is where I could see Cardano possibly breaking out. I mean, this is more likely end of March, right? Or even later. But let's just say end of March. And that's because that's one of the key dates, right? This is when the Fund 7 winners will be announced, early February. And it takes time for these projects to be built and figured out. So during that time, I just see us either just trending downwards or trading sideways. But once these projects start getting built and implemented, that's when I can see the price of Cardano taking off right there. And SundaeSwap is going to be very important because that's how money comes into these L1s. So let's take a look at some trading pairs. Cardano to Bitcoin. You can see here that recently it has been better just to invest in Bitcoin, right? You can see over here, we're just losing value against Bitcoin. But if you look in the long run, since about December 2020, right, we're seeing a definite uptrend against Bitcoin up here. But we have been bleeding against Bitcoin. So that's not good to see. If we take a look at Cardano versus Ethereum, you can see here, we have an oscillator, right? And this is good to see that we're actually oscillating back and forth against Ethereum, but recently just bleeding against Ethereum. And hopefully we actually see some support around this region, because that's where we kind of saw support over here. And you can see in these green and red boxes, I mean, this is where we see support and resistance up here. Now, if we go back to the Cardano USD valuation and we pull up Ethereum's chart right here and kind of just see if there's any relationships, right? What kind of relationships or inverse relationships we see. And we can see here that, back in the summer of 2021, right? Ethereum spiked first and Cardano followed after that shortly. Then the whole market went down, and now Ethereum went up and Cardano followed along with it too. And now we're seeing the inverse right here, right? Ethereum is going up and Cardano is going downwards. And this is part all due because of the whole Cardano Summit announcing that they had the capabilities of smart contracts. But again, this is just me speculating. So it's important to see these relationships, right? Because then you can figure out if something is undervalued or overvalued, right? Because a lot of the cryptocurrencies follow Ethereum and Bitcoin, especially when you're altcoin, you're following Ethereum because Ethereum is still the prince of the cryptocurrency market, and a lot of cryptocurrencies follow Ethereum, especially other altcoins. So this is also important to monitor. Now, if we take a look at RSI, pull that up right here, and you can kind of see if we're overbought or undersold for Cardano. And you can see we're kind of getting this middle region right here. So still great time to buy Cardano. In my opinion, if you're still bullish on this project, definitely if we get into this region, this lower part of RSI, I mean, even a better time to buy Cardano. So, this is an indicator that we can possibly use to figure out, where we're at in this market cycle. You can see when Cardano was oversold around $3, right? The RSI was out of this box right here. So it kind of just shows that Cardano was bought over here, and that the probability of Cardano decreasing in price could be kind of high. And this is what the RSI helps us figure out. So it's just one indicator we can use to figure out where the price of Cardano can go. Now, I did a reasonable Cardano price prediction. Check that out. I'll put a link to that video above. And then I also have a playlist where I have my other price predictions, and I also put that link above too. So I'll see you there.